Hello everyone and welcome to the AM News here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegwe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. The federal government has unveiled plans to strengthen interagency coordination and deepen community engagement as key pillars of the revised National Counter-Terrorism Strategy 2025. Speaking in Abuja at the final validation exercise for the draft strategy, National Coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamu Laka, said the updated framework was designed to improve collaboration among security agencies and foster public participation in preventing and responding to terrorism. He explained that the review process, which began in February this year, had gone through multiple stages of consultation, including workshops, committee reviews, and stakeholder engagements involving ministries, departments, and agencies, civil society groups, academia, and international partners. Anambra State Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo has declared his support for President Bola Tinubu, praising his economic and structural reforms. Speaking to State House correspondents after a meeting with the president at the presidential villa, the Anambra State Governor described the president as a close friend of over 22 years. Ubong Usoro has details.
Anambra State Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo has called for a coalition of progressives across party lines to strengthen Nigeria's democracy and drive development. When asked about endorsing a leader from a different political party, Soludo emphasized the need for progressives to unite across party lines.
I'm very pleased to see the president such high spirit, hale and hearty, seeing people and so on and so forth. That was quite a pleasant meeting. It's not for me to begin to discuss details of.
On the issue of insecurity in Anambra, Governor Soludo outlined a multifaceted approach combining both kinetic and non-kinetic measures.
I'm impressed by the bold steps he has taken, particularly in the areas of the economy, the structural reforms, and I have said so severally.
Pointed to the state Homeland Security Law enacted in January as a key tool in curbing criminal activities.
Anambra State Governor there, Professor Charles Soludo. Thank you, Ubong. The federal government says it has taken steps to organize the curriculum of the Nigerian Correctional Service following the expansion of its mandate from just a prison system to a correctional service. Declaring the workshop open in Abuja, Controller General of Corrections, Sylvester Nwakuche, said the initiative is part of his vision to reposition the service through capacity development, stating that the workshop has commenced with a three-day review and updates to train on the curriculum for its institutions, aiming to align it with modern security challenges and international best practices. He emphasized the importance of continuous training and retraining for personnel in the ever-changing security landscape. Minister of Youth Development Ayodele Olawande has called on donor agencies to partner with the federal government in funding youth development goals. Speaking in Abuja as Nigeria joined the rest of the world to mark International Youth Day, the minister said empowering young people is critical to achieving the country's development targets. Zirao Nasirio has the rest of the story.
August 12 every year is observed as International Youth Day. It's an opportunity for governments and stakeholders to spotlight youth issues and celebrate their contributions to national and global progress. The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, says government remains committed to supporting young people across the nation.
We are pleading to them because in 2024 alone, we lose over $400,000. And they said that's what they used to support the youth. And we can't see it in any way, we can't feel it. And we are saying that we are pleading to them to follow the right direction so that properly the youth can be empowered, not in a token way.
The event brought together youth leaders, municipal officials, policymakers, United Nations representatives, and development practitioners to share ideas and explore ways to boost youth participation in local development. Executive Director of Youth Hope Africa, Rotimi Olawale, says their work focuses on building young people's skills and connecting them to global opportunities.
Create platforms for them to access opportunities, build their skills, expose them to global opportunities, and ensure that they have the opportunities to connect to government policies that solve their problems in Nigeria.
This year's theme for the commemoration of the International Youth Day is an apt reminder for youth across the world to localize efforts aimed at driving development within the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global TV News.
Zahra Nasser there following through for us on developments around International Youth Day. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Lagos State has announced the commencement of the continuous voter registration exercise. The state's resident electoral commissioner, Professor Abayomi Salami, warned that underage registration and multiple registrations will attract penalties and offenders will be handed over to law enforcement agencies, noting that the online registration process will begin on August 18, 2025, while the physical biometric capturing will start on August 25, 2025, and will run until August 30 next year. He said the exercise would ensure eligible citizens are registered to vote, stating that this includes those who have attained 18 years of age, those willing to replace damaged or lost permanent voter cards, as well as those seeking to transfer their voting rights to other polling units or states. The sole administrator of River State, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, and the River State Independent Electoral Commission have been dragged before a federal high court sitting in Abuja to challenge the conduct of local council elections in the state. In the suit, the plaintiffs, Frederick Edede, Benita Samuel, Jane Madubuike, Boma Ago, and Comfort Agbom, as well as all indigents of River State, said the atmosphere is not yet conducive for the conduct of the elections. They're asking the court to interpret whether the scheduled council elections in the state can be lawful during the period of states of emergency. The National Youth Service Corps members have been urged to lead the way in fighting terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, cultism, political thuggery, and all sorts of insecurity across the country. The call was made by the Northeast Zonal Coordinator, National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Northeast Zonal Center, retired Major General Abubakar Adamu, at the Corps Orientation Camp in Bauchi State. Abubakar emphasized that with the involvement of the youth, especially corps members, in fighting the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, insecurity issues would be a thing of the past in no time. Cross River State Head of Service, Dr. Innocent Eteng, has confirmed implementation of the national minimum wage by the administration of Governor Basio II. The Head of Service disclosed this in Calabar, the state capital, where he noted that the state government has implemented the national minimum wage according to agreement with organized labor. Speaking shortly after unveiling the program of activity to mark the ongoing Civil Public Service Day celebration, Eteng stated that the Auto administration graciously implemented the minimum wage as stipulated in the agreement. On a side note, no fewer than 8 persons have been killed in a flood disaster in Bogoribo, an ancient kingdom of Itim community of Afikpo local government area in Ebonyi State. The incident, which occurred following heavy rainfall, affected over 800 farmlands and 3,000 households, creating a major displacement crisis within the community. Residents say the flood disaster resulted in the loss of mother and her 4 children, as a search and rescue team from the community was able to rescue 4 other children alive. In the meantime, 4 bodies have been recovered and buried, while search efforts continue for those who are still missing. This is Global Television, and you're watching the live broadcast of the AM News. When the rest of the news returns shortly, South Africa offers U.S. new trade deal to avoid 30% tariff. Details coming shortly, plus more stories from the foreign and sports scenes for you. Please do stay with us. Well, thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us. The second part of this news broadcast now returns with business. Vice President Kashif Shettima has inaugurated 2 new aircraft for Cross River State government and an information and communications technology hub, as well as a library designed to boost micro, small, and medium enterprises, which he said reaffirms Tinubu administration's commitment to economic diversification under the Renewed Hope agenda. The Vice President, in his remarks, commended the state government's forward-looking initiatives and officially inaugurating the aircraft. The federal government has raked in 5.21 trillion naira from the sale of crude oil, gas, and other economic activities in the first 6 months of 2025. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) says the revenue inflow represents 42.7% of the record 12.2 trillion naira it generated in the entire 2024 fiscal year. The figure, however, represents only 34.7% of the 15 trillion naira revenue target set by the federal government for the commission to meet in order to implement the 2025 budget. The Trade Union Congress, TUC, says the country would need an estimated $120 billion to construct its federal road network, a sum that is roughly 4 times the size of its annual budget. Speaking at the second edition of the union's Southwest Summit 2025 held in Lagos State, the President General Festus Osifo cited a 2013 study that put the cost of constructing all federal roads at $120 billion, noting that Nigeria's current budget, which stands between $30 and $35 billion, is already heavily committed to salaries, education, healthcare, defense, and other essential services. He therefore described the gap between Nigeria's infrastructure needs and available resources as alarming, accusing much of the political leadership of lacking the vision and innovation required to revive the economy. South Africa's Trade Minister for Parks, Franklin Tau, says the country will offer a generous new trade deal to the United States to avoid 30% tariffs. The minister did not release details of the new offer, but said previously discussed measures to increase imports of United States poultry, blueberries, and pork had been finalized. The decision comes after Washington slapped the huge tariff on some South African exports, the highest in sub-Saharan Africa, despite efforts by Pretoria to negotiate a better arrangement to avoid massive job losses. Let's now take you to the foreign scene, where Rwanda has termed as false accusations by the United Nations that its forces took part alongside rebels in the killings of several hundred civilians in eastern Congo. Citing first-hand accounts, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights said M23 rebels killed at least 319 civilians in a series of attacks on 4 villages in North Kivu province in July, adding that the killings took place on farms in the Rushuru territory between July 9 and July 21. Meanwhile, in a statement by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Kigali called the accusation unacceptable, saying the United Nations Rights Agency without evidence of seeking to undermine efforts to end the conflict in Congo's east. Press Freedom Organization, Reporters Without Borders, has condemned what it described as the claimed assassination by the Israeli army of 6 journalists in the Gaza Strip. The organization frowned on the assassination of Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif in Gaza, whom the armed forces admitted they had targeted, contrary to Israel's accusation that al-Sharif was a terrorist affiliated with Hamas. The Press Freedom Campaign Group insisted that he was one of the most famous journalists from the Gaza Strip, as well as the voice of the suffering Israel has imposed on Palestinians in Gaza. The Qatari broadcaster Al Jazeera had announced that 5 of his journalists had been killed in an Israeli strike on Sunday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Vladimir Putin, Russian president, is not preparing for a ceasefire, but is readying his troops for new offensive operations in Ukraine, even as the Russian leader is set to meet United States President Donald Trump for peace talks in Alaska. Zelensky says reports from Ukrainian intelligence and military commanders indicate that Putin intends to present his meeting on Friday with Trump as a personal victory and then continue acting exactly as before in the war on Ukraine. Ukraine's military spokesperson for the southern front line sector, Vyacheslav Voloshin, said Russia has been some military units in the Zaporizhia region fought for the assaults. And now time to get some excitement from the world of sports. Team Nigeria has departed for Santiago, Chile to compete in the World Powerlifting World Cup scheduled for August 15 to 17, 2025. The squad made up of 10 athletes, 8 women and 2 men jetted out of Nigeria after a delayed flight. The delegation features some of the world's most decorated para-powerlifters, including multiple world champions and Paralympic medalists. Speaking before departure, Folashade Oluwafemi Ayo, one of Nigeria's most accomplished para-powerlifters, expressed the team's determination to deliver another strong performance. The Nigerian national team is set to return to action when they take on Sudan in their second group stage fixture at the ongoing African Nations Championship, which is currently taking place in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. The coach, Eric Chil-led side began their campaign at the biannual competition with an underwhelming 1-0 defeat to the reigning defending champions Senegal last week. The game had been 4 large parts before the Teranga Lions found the breakthrough in the 75th minute when Mokhtar Koité burst down the right flank on a swift counter-attack and delivered a pinpoint low cross into the box, which Christian Gomez coolly slotted home with his left foot to seal the 3 points. Chairman of Nigerian Union of Journalists, Federal Capital Territory Council, has called on the teams participating in the 3rd edition of the football tournament to adhere to the rules and regulations of the games. Chairman, Nigeria Union of Journalists Football Tournament.
The tournament, which has 16 teams,
made the call while announcing the commencement dates of the tournament. Our sports correspondent Samuel Woody was there for Global Television.
From different group is all knockout basis. The chairman of the tournament, Chijoka Ndubeze, says the tournament aims to strengthen friendly relationship among journalists, security agencies, government and private organizations.
The tournament, which is aims to strengthen relationship journalists, security agencies, government organizations, private sector and professional bodies.
NUJ FCT Council Football Tournament is not organized just for the fun of it, but it's a call to duty consolidating friendship and peaceful coexistence with other organizations. The grand finale of the tournament comes up on Saturday, 23rd of August, 2025. Samuel Odi reporting for Global Television News.
Nations Championship, popularly called CHAN, says Kenya will play their upcoming match against Zambia in front of a reduced crowd after home fans had repeatedly invaded the stadium ahead of games. It is the first time the 3 East African countries, Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, have hosted the competition, but the historic moment has been overshadowed by long delays over the stadium's readiness and how unruly spectators have been. Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has issued a fine to the Football Kenya Federation totaling $17,500 over the disturbances in the stadia. And that's all halfway here on Global. A reminder that we are on the STV channels 365 and Star Times 276. As always, we encourage you to follow and engage with us across social media platforms using @Global TVNG as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe. Thank you very specially for watching. Global Morning starts shortly. is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Hello, everyone. A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us here on Global Television. And this is our way of saying welcome to Global Morning, midweek edition, as we like to call it. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. As always, we are grateful for your time with us beginning the program at this point here on Global Morning. And my colleague, who at this point will say is the first responder. I think that's what they call it in emergency cases, right? Ramsey Enoch Agbo is again on the program. I think we should make the most of him while he's here, because at some point, some other assignments would scream his name, and that will make him jump off the program.
Good morning, Nui.
Good morning.
Well, it's so good to be on Global Morning today, because one thing with Global Morning is the fact that it helps you get your day started on a good note,
right?
Especially for the first 3 minutes as you get connected to Global Morning. I'm saying this because I watch Global Morning myself when I'm not on the show. You know, it helps you set the pace for the day.
Right.
And the way you get started with your day will determine how far you will go, especially when your spirit is so high.
I agree.
You seem to meet up with those targets easily. So it's so good to be on Global Morning today. And of course, we have so much lined up for our viewers on Global Morning. Stay right glued to your television as we unveil everything that we have for you this morning.
Oh, great, sir. I think that's a very succinct and yet brilliant way to put it. It's going to be very interactive today. Issues around security, and insecurity. And I also need to talk about electoral process in Nigeria. That conversation has been here for several decades, even at every point where we had military interregnum. I mean, what we call military interference in our system of governance. But for this particular experiment, as it were, of democracy, which has been here for about 26 years, the conversation about whether or not our electoral process is where it should be is also getting louder by the day, because for every election cycle, whether the general one or the one that are off cycle, we realize that there's always needs to do some sort of post-mortem and look at where we are and where we should be heading. Elections are very important. I mean, they are very crucial. Ramsey, you can't take that away, given the fact that elections determine who leads who at the end of the day, because people have to, we have to elect leaders. We have to have leaders in place, top to bottom, federal, state, local governments, and all of that. But there has to be a system that produces or that helps these leaders to emerge. And that process in itself has been one of a debate over time. In fact, there are those who say,
since I was born,
we met it here. There are those who say, well, this democracy is not working. Let's look at something more indigenous, something closer to home, something a bit more peculiar to our own uniqueness, that kind of thing. So it's quite, if you like, a hydra-headed conversation to have. But we do know one thing for a fact. First of all, the democracy that we practice today is from the West, the global West. And the presidential system of government itself is borrowed from America. But the question around whether or not we're practicing it as it should be has become a different conversation in itself altogether. But that's not for us to jumpstart, get ahead of ourselves. But again, just know that we have paper headlines also for you today, just so you can stay ahead of the news and understand what exactly is going on. I think the news is better and more valuable when you read it for yourself, you digest, and then, of course, you internalize. That way you can avoid fake news and all of the issues around misinformation. But there are also other issues on the international scene. The Gaza war, for instance. Yeah, the 5 journalists, the Al Jazeera journalists that were killed there, whom, especially the lead one, the gentleman, and as whom the Israeli authorities say was targeted and all of that. Now, Reporters Without Borders, the press freedom organization, is now arguing and insisting that, look, this guy was one of the finest voices as far as speaking up about the issues in the Gaza Strip are concerned, but there is no more. But he left a letter that is very emotional in itself and things like that. But the challenge has been the need to put an end to this war. We've seen countries after countries saying that, look, by September, when United Nations General Assembly is underway, we would formally recognize the Palestinian states. We've seen the UK do that. We've heard from Canada. Australia has done the same, and it's been one country after another. It will appear that the countries are piling up. There are those who say it's political, who say, look, these countries are trying to leverage that, use it as a bargaining chip, all right, to engage the U.S. President Donald Trump on the issues of tariff. And Trump, on its own, appears to be sticking to his gun, as they say. But in all, there are two wars that have to end. The one between Russia and Ukraine ends the war in Gaza.
The war in Gaza. Well, I think the war in Gaza have taken too long. Even the one in Ukraine too. No war situation is good. Is good to condole with. But the situation right now is there are pockets of information that some persons are actually interested in this war for certain reasons. And today you hear a different story. Tomorrow you hear something different. But then, recognizing the Palestinian state is one thing again, and some people are even thinking that could even stir up some other things, because the claim for I am the big brother, okay, and all of that is playing out gradually, looking at the stance of the United States. Now, let's come to the issue of journalists. Killing journalists for any reason is not the best. For whether you're suspecting the journalist to be an informant or whatever, that is a suspect. You are alleging. Why not arrest this person, interrogate the person, take the person to international court, as the case may be. If you feel the person is guilty or you are aggrieved by any coverage of that, there are ways to go about these issues instead of completely taking out a life. This person, not just one, and this is not the first time a journalist is losing his or her life in a war situation. It has been happening, and of course, no one have ever supported a situation like that, because it's just like shying away from the real thing and running around to do other things, because the war needs to come to an end, right? But then the people in charge, we've heard of ceasefire. Today you hear of ceasefire, tomorrow you see fire burning. You hear of ceasefire, you see fire burning. So right now, as it is, we don't even know when this war is going to come to an end. But if the Palestinian state is being recognized by these countries, well, it may not go down well with the United States. But then, I think these other countries, no one do anything. Whatever they are doing right now is for a particular reason. No one. They have an interest. They have an interest. It's either they want to bite back the issue of tariff. Some presidents have not forgiven the United States till now. We've seen where some presidents are even trying to do some kind of bilateral trade relationship to do something in order to wipe out this trade or get it reduced also. But the bottom line is this. I think this war needs to come to an end.
No doubt about it.
Lives have been lost, properties destroyed. Who is gaining from this? How will you be rejoicing when people are losing their lives? These are people that have the same breath as yourself. You know, so it's worrisome. It's a worrisome situation.
It is. But again, this is an ongoing conversation, quite frankly. We understand this Friday, for example, President Trump and his Russian counterpart, I mean, in the case of Russia-Ukraine war now, yes. Vladimir Putin will be meeting in Alaska. Well, Zelensky is not going to be at the table, so it's just going to be between Putin and Trump, all right?
He met with Zelensky some time back.
Yes, but Zelensky wants to be at the table. Zelensky wants three-man kind of conversation. He wants to be
Don't you
accountable.
think that would have even been better?
Yes, but again, countries pursue interests, like you mentioned a while ago, all right? And then there's something called enlightened self-interest. Whether that's the case here or not, it's something we can debate later. But the point is, Russia doesn't want Zelensky at the table. And the U.S. president says...
is showing up.
Right. The U.S. president wants it to end like yesterday, as quickly as possible. So what deal will be reached on Friday is something we wait to see. But like we have agreed on the program here, and every right-thinking human being across the world has also concurred, these wars, whether in Gaza or in Ukraine, must end as quickly as possible. All right, we're going to take a quick break at this point, and we'll have big headlines from across our national dailies lined up for you. So when we return in the beats, we'll turn to the papers. Do stay with us.
So many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning. Now it's time for us to take you through the national days. We'll bring to you what the papers are saying this morning because you deserve to know. Beginning from the Punch newspaper this morning, on the Punch newspaper we have some very interesting headlines. And this one says, Boko Haram scare, Borno villagers flee, sleep on Cameroon street. Schools, wow. Boko Haram scare, Borno villagers flee, sleep on Cameroon streets and schools. Details read on page 7. Well, I think the Boko Haram terrorists have now extended their fight again to Borno State, where they have been. These villagers have been facing so much. ADC is the one saying this, that EFCC is targeting David Mark after Tamboa and Ihedioha. Well, we heard yesterday that the arrest of Tamboa is to threaten ADC or something by the ruling party, which is, I don't know, it's like ADC is trying to take the place of the big brother, as a matter of fact, to be the opposition that some Nigerians have asked for in the past. All right, well, let's just keep our fingers crossed to bring you the details on global television. The federal government drops 60 billion naira fraud charges against ex-AMCON MD. A court orders federal government to close case in Dasuki's decade-old trial. Details on page 10. And now to the big story, where we have this one saying health sector crisis persists despite 5.4 trillion naira World Bank loans. Just one rider to that story, and it says 11 major projects gulp $3.527 billion in 9 years as global lender expanded to approve additional $250 million loan in September. Right, some presidents have kicked against loan because they will tell you, well, we don't know what these loans are being used for. But then some other presidents, some other economists will argue that there is no country of the world that doesn't take long. Well, let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how all of this will unfold. NBA orders condemn Ibom Air over female passengers' assault. That is the Nigerian Bar Association. Details on page 29. Police probe Kwam 1 over Abuja airport misconduct. All right. Then finally, from the Punch newspaper this morning, 30,000 naira car race bet leaves 5 dead in Ogun. The quest for money. Well, that's the size of the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, let's turn quickly to our next paper now, everyone, away from the Punch. And now we're doing the New Telegraph newspaper for you. Just above the nameplates here, it says NIBSS, more Nigerians embrace POS as deployed terminals, up 119.4% to 5.90 million. That's the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. All right. NMDPRA, Nigerians consumed 1.44 billion liters of fuel in June. What's more, we have 4 more headlines immediately beneath the nameplates. No going back on CBT module for WASI SSC federal government, which means the CBT technology is here to stay. Condemns exam leakages. All right. What else? Says mass cheating. Okay, and then we move on to see one here with a picture of Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The kicker says, Sanwo-Olu, we salvaged properties worth 117 billion naira, rescued 450 lives from fire incidents. Court gives federal government deadline to conclude 10-year trial of ex-NSA Dasuki. We understand the federal government has now been given 45 days, that's 1.5 months, to wrap up this matter that has been here since 2015. NMA raises the alarm over mental health crisis among doctors. A writer tells us 8,246 mentally ill inmates in custody nationwide. That's according to the Nigerian Custodial Service. All right, read up those details on pages 7 and 8 for yourself. Then the Star headline says, criminally smart politicians now declaring assets before acquiring them. That's credited to the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede. Ramsey, maybe we should step on a brace for a second and talk about this. This is apparently a preemptive move by politicians, the FCC says, to, if you like, shield their assets, especially those that are gotten through proceeds of crime, as the law calls it. All right. So what that means is an individual comes into office, either elected or appointed, and then he starts, or he or she starts declaring assets they don't even have. All right. That's preemptive, apparently. So that by the time you're leaving office, it looks like you already had them before you came into that office. So we take, for example, a director general of an agency of the government, let's say the federal government. So when you're coming in, you don't own a house, for instance, in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano, or anywhere else in this country or in the world. But then what do? You declare that piece of asset up front to give the impression that you've always had that asset even long before you came into office. So the FCC is saying that we understand this thing is happening, and we're also trying to track to ensure that we continue to check smart moves by politicians.
Well, I don't know. We keep hearing different things every day. We keep hearing different things every day. The fight against corruption is real. Right? I'm not doubting that. But then, how is it being done? Is it that some are going in for it and others are going for free?
Right.
But then, I think for me, it's a smart move by politicians. But then, they said the problem known is half solved.
That's right.
If EFCC know these things are happening, then I feel there is no need to keep quiet about it. Because there is no point even declaring your assets if that is what you are doing. Because who is this even who? you know. So all these things, I'm not even worried about myself. I'm not worried about any other thing. But all these things put this country in a bad light at the international space.
Right.
Because, you know, a lot of people have complained of the fact that they go out and they are being treated differently from people who come into some of these countries from other places in Africa. Why? Because of issues like this. Okay, so I think all these things need to be checked. If we want to fight corruption in the real sense of it, then all these things need to be checked. And as a politician, if there is even going to tango, Nigerians are even talking about constitutional review. If there is a review in the constitution and it's been stated that there is an amount of wealth that a political office holder should have before and after leaving office, I think that will be good. If this office is being made less lucrative,
Right.
would people still do everything possible to get into that office? That is when we'll know who the true Nigerians are, who are patriotic citizens of this country. But then, if we leave these things hanging like this, do whatever you want to do, take money outside the country because you have private jets, no one is checking you and all of that, a mass wealth. Are you not surprised? The kind of properties that are being confiscated. Okay, look at Madweke, look at Emefiele.
Quite a number of them.
Quite a number of them. You can't even name them. You know, so all these things need to be checked. This is the same country where our economy is falling like a stone, you know, even though the economy is picking up gradually. But all of these things, I don't think is doing Nigeria any good. If not until we just speak and act like the Americans who say American first. I don't think we will make too much headway.
All right. Well, Ramsey just delivered a proposal. Hopefully, the authorities will give that some consideration going forward. All right. Let's now go ahead to see a few other headlines for you this morning. Here it says, NMA raises the alarm. Oh, we already brought you that just before now. But let's look at one here with a kicker that says 2027. I've not seen anyone better than Tinubu in ADC. That's credited to Wadada. Riders say it's time to start holding governors accountable, of course. APC not scared of opposition coalition, Aliyu, why I endorsed president for second term. That's Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. NBA condemns Ibom Air's treatment of passengers, demands probe on pages 2, 5, and 7. As LP kicks against law enforcement agencies' selective justice. NCAA petition, IGP orders probe of Kwam1 airport incident. And lastly, on the foot of the paper, HPV spread through oral sex links to skin cancer. This is very complicated, but not those details on page 27 of the New Telegraph today. And Ramsey will walk us through the headlines on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, thank you very much, Uyi. Let's get straight to the Vanguard newspaper. And the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, I have the story at the top of the nameplate. Dangote Refinery reduces loading price of petrol to 820 naira per litre. Details read on page 19. The floating, should I call it floating, the up and down of the prices of these commodities becoming something else. So I pray this reflects down to the grassroots, all right? Well, the retailer somewhere there should be able to feel the impact of this. The person using the taxi every day should be able to feel the impact of this, but most times these commuters, these taxi drivers don't even care whether there is reduction in price or not. They just stick to what they want to collect and all of that. Well, I think the regulatory bodies need to say something about that. Now on to the next story. 2027. I won't deny Tinubu We've been friends for 22 years. Soludo is the one saying that. Details read on page 9. 16 inmates attack Wada's Bridge Kefi prison. 7 rearrested. Okay, 16 inmates attack Wada's Bridge Kefi prison. 7 rearrested.
That's in Nasarawa State.
In Nasarawa State. Well, that's a prison break. Before now, it used to be a movie, but now we have it real in Nigeria. This is not the first time anyway. We had one happened in Kuje prison sometimes back. And up till now, we've not heard so much about that. Now, I have this headline which says, Atiku, ADC condemn Tambuwal's arrest, says EFCC now political tool. I know a lot of people will say that, but then some writers to that story, stop sulking over opposition probes. We are non-partisan. EFCC replies ADC. As EFCC grants ex-Sokoto governor bail, those are the writers to that story. NSDC sealed deal with 4 new operators to produce 400,000 MT of sugar annually. Vice President Shetima to investors. That's the kicker. It's time to invest in Nigeria. Details on page 10. Shore leads protest to NYC headquarters over unjust treatment of core member Ushi Ugumaye. Right, details on page 9. Well, that story has been in the fore. You can actually pick a copy of the Vanguard newspaper to know what's up right there. All right, this one says NMA raises alarm over mental health crisis among doctors. Now to the Star story. The Star story says Ibom air fracas. That's the kicker. Comfort begins life at Kirikiri. NBA waits in. A lot of riders to that story. I will just take a few out of it. As witness explain what's a Taga rage. Okay. Alright. NBA condemn lifetime ban on passenger. Pledges legal support. Alleges breach of her fundamental rights. Calls for independent probe. Another one says disagree with Ibom Air, AON, NCAA on no-fly life ban. Kwam 1 comforts case, not same, NCAA. Peter Obi questions due process in passengers' lifetime ban. Then it on state selective justice is no justice at all. That is coming from Labour. And of course, that will be the size of the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, next will be the Nation newspaper. We'll begin with the big story or headline in front of it. Kika says, Amechi, how Fayemi and I began opposition coalition. But again, the former Ekiti State Governor, Fayemi, has come out to say that he was never part of it. The rider here, two riders, say we started in Nasiru Danu's house. These claims lack basis, says ex-Ekiti governor. Okay, that's a bit technical. He says the claims lack basis. At Tambuwal, EFCC hits back at ADC overrun provoked attack. Illegal 176 estates, diaspora depositors demand refund. How non-interest finance sector can grow by Edo. National single window to take off in March. INEC begins continuous voter registration nationwide Monday. Okay, and that's on the 18th. All right, let's go further down a little. IG orders probe of Kwamwan's Abuja airport's infraction. Miss Emerson remains in Kirikiri. Why I'm supporting Tinubu by Soludo. The writer says, Senator Wadada, nobody can defeat president in 2027. Well, and Anambra State governor already says that President Tinubu has been a friend of his for 20 years and he supports his economic and structural reforms. And lastly, disputes over property documentation. Daniel gets restraining order against Ogun government. That's on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. As we begin to tie it up now, our last paper will be the Nigerian Tribune, and Ramsey has those headlines for us.
All right, we have quite a number of headlines right there as I flip through them real fast. NSA to unfold a fresh strategy to end terrorism. Then this one says Tinubu is my friend over 22 years. I have no apologies for supporting him. Stay Soludo. Now to the big story. The kicker says Ibom Air incident. NBA, Labour Party, orders play treatment of female passengers. That story have some riders, and it says aviation experts weigh in on unruly behavior at airport. Please receive petition from NCAA on Palm 1. IGP directs Airport Police Command to begin investigation. Details read on page 5. Then NLC NAPTI MMS move to curb human trafficking through waterways. NSDC operators seal landmark agreement target 400,000 MT sugar production annually, that is metric tons. Then of course this one says health is the kicker. Fast walking key to longevity cuts mortality risk by 20% according to study. And of course, finally from the Nigerian Tribune this morning, Tambuwa released on bail as EFCC counters ADC and PDP. There are some riders to that story. Just pick a copy of the Nigerian Tribune to go through it. Any of the story that catches your fancy, you can go through it once again.
All right, thank you so very much, Ramsey. That's what we'll leave it with the papers this morning. Please do well, as always, to grab copies of yourself so you can read up details for context and for perspective. We also would like to remind you that Global Television does not make any form of contribution to these papers, not even to the headlines. All we do is just bring them to you and guide you through the news. Coming up shortly is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobula. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global. Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem? We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem? We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, the Global Morning crew, and good morning to you, my viewers. I am Ogochukwu Mobno. It's a good day to look at what's buzzing on the internet. The Nigerian soldiers forced driver to wade through muddy waters in Enugu after his vehicle splashed the dam. A video making the rounds online shows Nigerian soldiers along Nsukka Road, Enugu State, stopping a driver after his vehicle allegedly splashed water on them. Witnesses says the soldiers ordered the man into the puddle, making him wade through the muddy waters as people looked on. Let's take a look at this video. Well, that's a horrible sight right there, honestly. It's not a good one, but we're going straight to the comment section to hear what people are saying about this. And first comment for the day is coming from Director Joseph. Legacy Wealth says, Okay, that's Legacy Wealth. And Legacy Wealth says, these are the same soldiers that want us to pity them that their bosses gave them 9 tubers of yam to hold body for 3 months, Abby. Rather, like she ends her comments. And the next comment is coming from Director Joseph John Chibuzo. And Director Joseph says, there's no situation in this country where you won't find yourself as both a victim and at fault. The driver might be speeding like a typical careless Nigerian driver, but when you consider the road's conditions, it's a different story altogether. And what about the Nigerian army? They are known for dealing harshly with citizens at the slightest provocation. In fact, this country is in a mess. Everyone seems to have lost their sanity. The last but not the least comment is coming from Margaret Atechi. And Margaret Atechi says, my father is a commercial driver. Imagine getting on the internet and seeing him in this situation. I hate it here, and I'm not even gonna lie. These are not good comments concerning the Nigerian soldiers and what they have done. Okay, we've heard from the public opinion, and it's time for us to hear from my colleagues in the studio, and we'll go right over to them after this short break. All right, so good morning, Good morning.
You see, Uncle, I was trying to hold my peace the whole time you were talking, and before that, while I was watching the video.
All right.
What I realized is that I mentioned this yesterday because of the program. It will appear some of us forget that there are laws in this country. Because back in the old days, and say, well, the laws are for the poor people, the elite, and those who are politically powerful are not affected by the law. You see, fact of the matter is, these men, these soldiers, have not only brought embarrassment to themselves, but they have also, if you like, put a dent on the image of the military. In fact, I know growing up as a young boy, I used to see this a lot, but that was before we transitioned into this democratic,
so you think it still doesn't happen in the democratic dispensation?
No, that's where my worry comes from. Who would have thought things like this had died
with the military regime,
with military, presidents here? I mean, the military being in charge and things like that. But today we still get to see it. First of all, people like this should be dealt with within the ambit of the law. I mean, you hand them over to the police. They have to also be subjected to investigation. All right, and I understand the army has their own standard operating procedure, the SOP for things like this. All right, but they have to be brought to book to show example. You see, finally, Ogochukwu, I also know for a fact, I mean, growing up, that we had landlords who would bring young soldiers to help them evict or eject tenants.
Yes.
All right, why? Because they had some sort of misunderstanding and they thought the tenant should have left the house, but they were not moving out. So they felt to eject this tenant, we need to use military presence.
Is that supposed to be the job of a soldier? Because we've always known that to be either a policeman or you call it civil defense.
Again, that's why we say there are laws. But the question is, how many of us are taking the time to understand that there are laws? I think we get too emotional about these things. And then there's also the tendency, there's the desperation to want to show power, to want to prove a point. And because of that, we always find ourselves in this situation. You and I can be here the whole day worrying about this. But have you also given a thought to the impression it sends to people in the international community?
Like one of the commenters said, he says, what if the roads are bad? Because it's most likely that the roads are bad. And we could see from the video that the roads were flooded. The road, like there was no way for a car to move without splashing water. So what exactly was the soldier doing outside in that flood at that time?
Well, those are issues that we need to raise at some point. But you see, we need to find a way to put an end to this barbaric culture. We can't continue to behave as a bunch of lawless people I mean, we treat ourselves without respect, without dignity. We lose our humanity at the snap of fingers. And then we expect people in the international community, we expect people from other countries to respect us. It doesn't work like that. I mean, if I were from a country in Europe, for example, or in other parts of Africa, where people are more civil, where people are more, if you like, tolerant, for instance, this already leaves an impression in my head about Nigeria and Nigerians. So you can't blame me to that extent if I relate with Nigeria on the basis of this very ugly and embarrassing video.
It is a harsh one there for soldiers. I have also come across things like this. I have seen older men, they get to discipline older men, and I'm asking myself, is this supposed to be the job of a soldier? And also, I thought they were supposed to be protecting us and not this kind of harsh treatment for just splashing muddy waters on the soldier. Anyways, that's all we have for you today on Social Buzz. Do stay with us as Global Morning continues. I am Ogot Kumobuna.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning. Now it's time for the first conversation for the day. Of course, some of you may be aware of the fact that there is a move to curtail the security situation in the country. A lot of efforts have been brought to the fore, but then I think we are still waiting for when the lasting solution will come. But then there is a topic we want to look at today, as it has to do with insecurity. And we have our guest who is going to be joining us. He is a security expert. And of course, it's very important to look at this topic, curtailing insecurity. Youth corpers urge to get involved in curtailing insecurity. I know a lot of you are asking questions right now wherever you are. Guest is a security and public policy strategist in the person of Jonathan Onoja, who will be joining us via Zoom as we look at this topic today. It's good to have you join us, Jonathan.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Ramsey. Good morning, Nigerians.
Oh, all right. As a matter of fact, we and I will taking you through this discussion, and of course, looking at this topic, there has been an effort to curtail insecurity in the country. In as much as they say the issue of security is everybody's concern, there is a little bit of questioning when it comes to the recent statement coming that you core members are being urged to get involved in curbing insecurity in the country. What's your thoughts? What do you think about that?
All right. Once again, I say thank you for having me. And, it is because of the importance of this discussion that I have to excuse myself to, honor this invitation, because this is a national discussion, and it will require experts' opinion to see the way forward. number one, security is everybody's responsibility. However, there are dimensions where everybody's responsibility will be well defined. And there are areas too where there are limitations. And this is where the NYC core members limitations comes in. When you request the NYC members to be part and parcel of security, you and I is aware in this country where NYC members were victims of insecurity, kidnapped, molested, so many killed, and there was nowhere to, protect them even. So when you turn back and say that some people should, come up with strategies of reporting people with lethal weapons, avoiding, courtesan, reporting those that are, to be suspects in their communities, without providing any form of cover or security for them themselves, you are further endangering their lives. Why am I saying so? The moment some set of people get to know that the NYC members now are more of the spies, the watchdogs of the security agents, the anger will increase, and there will be every tendency that NYC core members will become the target by bandits and the so-called terrorists we have in this country. So while we are trying to come up with a national approach of community policing, neighborhood watch, yes, using the NYC core members is a very good tool. But there are institutions and there are, already awaiting bills that are in the National Assembly that could cause some of these problems. And one of it, like I have said, there are youth uniform organizations that have been trained in this regards. Thus, all they need is the federal government backings. And the National Assembly can take advantage of some of these bills before them to actualize that goal. And so bringing the NYC core members into this picture, I think we are doing a great mistake, because we already understand their vulnerability, we already understand the challenges that the NYC core members are going through in this country. So why do we further need to engage them and bring them to the front burner of insecurity when we just need to protect them? These are people who do not have any forms of defense. These are people that do not possess any arms. I understand that the concept they are coming from is information sharing, intelligence sharing, using them as the most in the community to get intelligence for the purpose of neighborhood watch and all of that. But we can still do it without announcing them and making them more vulnerable. Because what they have done now is to bring NYC core members into the bad picture, into another dimension, that those that are already attacking them will grow more anger and begin to attack them the more. So I do not see the pronunciation as any new techniques. I do not see it as any new strategies. Rather, I see that they are rather creating more problem for core members in this country that they cannot even protect. Right now, as I speak with you, core members still travel interstate without any form of security. Core members do not even, with what is happening in this country, core members moving from one point A to point B do not have any security attached to them, or never have, NYC itself does not even have a transport scheme for core members that are going interstate for either services or something. So today, if you are posted to Lagos State, it's up to you to go to Lagos State. NYC will not provide immobilization or any form of security for you to go to Lagos State. And so whatever it is, when I use the flight, if you use the flight that is now becoming a problem in Nigeria today, it's up to you. If you're going to use the vehicles to travel along the road, it's up to you. Nobody cares about your security. All they want is that you have been deployed, you've been assigned to that place as a permanent place of the assignment, without any form of security. And so the NYC needs to come up with their own strategies, with these pronouncements, to see how they can best protect the lives of corps members. Somebody who goes to school after 4 or 5 years, serving this country, or to be kidnapped and be killed one day. Destiny buried, dreams gone. And so we must find a way to first protect them before we begin to engage them into our national security discussion. Because to protect, and the same people you are coming back to request them that they should protect you or to share information with you. I don't know the kind of concept of security that we operate in this part of the world, but I think Nigeria needs to wake up to understand that we cannot continue to create more problems for people that are already vulnerable. It's just like asking Nigerians to defend themselves without giving them any form of defensive weapon. You and I are not allowed to get AK-47 in this country. But the people that came to attack us, they get AK-47. People that went to attack, a place in Katsina yesterday, in Benue State, Katsina yesterday, people that went to attack Katsina yesterday, bear weapons. People that attacked Goma local government area of Goma local government area of Benue State, the day before yesterday, are bearing weapons. And so, you will not expect an NYC member to stay in his neck in such matter. All we need to do is to have a centralized system that works for everybody. And that is where I call on all the service chiefs to come up with a strategy that will benefit Nigerians and that will protect Nigeria. Nigeria does not have any form of security. Look at what is happening along the road. There's no form of security anywhere. I give you an example in the case of Yelwata. After the killings in Yelwata, there are still the killings. Even down to yesterday, there were still killings in Yelwata. So enough of these media talks and paper signing, papers with sugarcoating things for the purpose of someone is in one office and want to say something. When the DG make the DG orientation make that statement yesterday, I do not actually see that he has solved any problem or he has made any speech so special that it will require an attention from the media. Because when someone is not understanding the concept of what he's saying, he can come up with anything to say at the point. Otherwise, the people you are supposed to protect are supposed to sympathize with you.
Right.
You are the one who will say people that they should come for protecting you.
Yeah, Jonathan, I want us to introduce, if you like, another layer to this conversation. Let's talk about motive. What could have led the Director General of the National Orientation Agency to make this kind of proposition? Because, I mean, in principle, that's what it is, all right? You may say, well, it was instinctive, it was impulsive, or whatever it is, but this is a proposal. We don't have to like it per se, but let's look at what the motivation may have been for this kind of proposition. Is it a way of saying, well, we are overwhelmed, what do? We are between the rock and the hard place. Since we have these young people in uniform, they spend about 3 weeks in camp, they get a bit of our military training here and there. Who knows, maybe at some level they could be useful in the fight against insecurity. Do you think that's what the motivation may have been?
Well, like I said, whatever motives behind that statement, whatever it is that has led him to, make such public statements was the wrong one. Like I said, it continued to endanger the lives of, the corps members. I give you an example. Years back in the Federal Capital Territory, there was, a police commissioner that was killed around Barnes area, if you recall, by some groups that came protesting. And sometime last year or thereabout, we also told that there was a killing. Police officers were attacked around Wuse 2 area by these same groups. Over time, the groups have come to realize that the police are no longer their friends and that they are now seen as enemies, not friends like but they are foes. So the attack came, and if you also realize that there were attacks on police stations across the state, across the nation, sometimes including the southeast, where police stations are bombed, police officers are killed, and all of that. Now, I'm giving you all this background to understand why this is happening. The belief that the police is a threat, and so the NYC core members that are already vulnerable, by way of no security for them, no protection and nothing, you come and you begin to tell the public again. I think that should be an internal training. It shouldn't be for public consumption. It should be that you engage, just like in your own station, how you discuss with your staff. It's an internal memo. Like you can build it up in the cost of that training, that while you are leaving this camp and you're going back to your various community, you can become an ambassador, of peace, and again you can become an agent in your community. How? Negotiating with the security agencies, the conventional security agencies, sharing information with them, and a way to protect your community. Because when you see something, say something, and that's where everyone is now requested to be, that's where the responsibility comes. Everybody must say something. Everybody must be part and parcel of the security of the state and of the country. And so this is where you bring it up. But when you bring it up to the larger picture, when you say it, and don't forget that whatever is on the print media, whatever is on the media, both our friends and our enemies are aware of it. So the moment this pronunciation came, this announcement came, the already vulnerable guys, like I keep saying, will be prone to more attacks. NYC core members can even wear their uniforms proudly and travel in the state or within the state, because already the guys will see them as enemy, and already they see them as an enemy. Perhaps these were some of the things that were said before they started killing and kidnapping core members. And so we should be mindful of what we say. That's what I'm trying to say. That the motives behind it may not be too bad, but the public pronunciation and making it look like it's now like you have recruited an army of youth and you have empowered them with GPMG, AK-47, and then it is to war. You are just giving these guys uniform that they even have to pay for it. You are just giving these guys brooch that they have to even pay for it. And you are sending them out, without anything in their hands. Not even Gura, that the guys, the one of our people, the tax and stand carries around now, and some of the security agent operatives carry around. Not even anything like that. Those guys cannot even bear stun gun. They cannot even carry stun gun. Those guys cannot even carry anything, not even tigers, not even canisters. And then you're talking about then exposing their vulnerability. These are people that don't even want to tell you where their children school. Why? Because they are extra security conscious of whatever concerns their own. These are people that hide the identity of their own children so that people will not trace them and attack them. These are people that do not even want you to know where their children school. And so when you begin to expose other people's children to threats, and you say, we should give you an applause because there may be motives, good motives behind the move, I'm saying that with the already vulnerable NYC core members we are seeing kidnapped, killed, maimed across the states in Nigeria today, we shouldn't have called for that. But anyways, explaining the good part of it is that we already have a system where everybody, even through the Office of the National Security Advisor, that is the coordinating system. That is not even working. That is not even working. That is why we have lost intelligence in this part of the world. Because if it is working, the rate of attacks that happen would have been repelled. It would have been repelled by our intelligence agencies. But because that system is not working, that's why most of us have advocated for the all-round, community approach, to issues. Community approach in this instance is the neighborhood watch versus the community policing approach that is now being proposed, and other forms of intelligence sharings and community safety. And I proposed now that there are bills, established bills that are before the National Assembly, that they can take advantage of it. And one of these bills is, example, using the Nigerian Peace Corps as a viable tool. These are people that already seem to be, paramilitary youth uniform organization, and they have certain trainings different from what the NYC corps members they have. They have this intelligence training. They have all of this training already, with an established structure of about 36, 34 to 35 commands across the state, across the nation. So with that, I'm even having a UN desk. So with this arrangement, you can partner with them for deployment of the already trained youth to communities for the purpose of neighborhood watch, integrated neighborhood watch. They knows who comes into the community. They knows the nooks and cranny of the community. They know what is happening. So they will be able to share information and become the first layer of defense. Reporting information real time, giving this information real time to the already established conventional security agencies, from the police to the DSS, the NIE. They can partner with them and have this mode or this channel of reports, real-time reports, why they remain in the community like any of them. And because I say this, we don't have intelligence in this country again. If we have intelligence in this country, my own brother, people will gather together in a particular place, have meeting, discuss about attacks. Nobody, these guys do phone calls. They agree to meet in a particular place, and we claim that we have the data of all people in this country at the time we come with, the NIN, and all of that before you register a SIM card. But people make calls to go to a particular place for a meeting, and they discuss these things. After that, they still attack. Nobody will be arrested. Nobody will be traced. As a matter of fact, even after attack, they still use the same calls to these same folks to discuss and to talk about, negotiate for ransom. And these ransoms are paid, and nobody is being arrested. And we are talking about engaging our NYC corps members that we cannot even protect. So we have a long way to go, and we must use the best community approach to solve the problems, not engaging already vulnerable members that we don't even have a means to protect them. I think this is my position on this matter.
All right. One of the issues, all right, that he talked seriously about is the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, and that has led to increase in battery, kidnapping, cultism, political thuggery, and all sort of insecurity in the country. Do you think this is happening because during politics a lot of arms exchange hands and all of that? Is there anything that can be done to checkmate this proliferation, to cut down the level of insecurity that we have in the country today, looking away from the core members, even though it's all about seeing something and saying something at the grassroots at the community level, like you also mentioned?
Right, Ramsey, An hungry man is an angry man, they say. One of the root cause of insecurity is hunger. Hunger is a major factor. Poverty, illiteracy, and when the people perceive upward cheats from the government, right? And so when the people do not believe the government, when the people seems to be cheated, when politicians takes what belongs to the people, these are all issues that brings insecurity. This is another dimension of insecurity that Nigerians should look at. But we are not looking at that. We are talking about the secondary aspect, people in the bush kidnapping people. What led to it? I give you an instance before I answer your questions. Look at the recruitment, the recruitment issue, the recruitment portal that the NSCDC, the immigrations, the fire service is coming up with. Take your time to read that portal and see what happened. You will realize that when people are talking just about 30,000, millions of Nigerians have applied for that job. And if you take a look at it again closely, you will agree with me that the North Central is the highest populated rate of unemployment. And also if you check again, the rate of insecurity in the North is high compared to any region in this country. I mean the North, I mean Northeast, Northwest, in the North Central. So when you check the portal again, you will see that Kogi State is the highest. What that means is that they are the highest unemployed youth. They are the highest unemployed youth in this country, where almost 11 million people are trying to apply. Followed by Niger State or something, or Kaduna State. Benue State is the third. And like that, Nasarawa State. So we have up to the worst unemployed youth or numbers of unemployed youth domiciled in the North. And that's why one of the highest the highest insecurity in the North. Like it's ravaging North Central today. When the people are gainfully employed, we will not be talking about insecurity. Go to Iceland. Why are we not having much of issues of insecurity in Iceland? Iceland have 0.1% of crime. Why? Because the people are engaged. The government has made provision for their people. The rate of Almajiri in the North and out of school children in the North is alarming. This is issues of insecurity that the government must prioritize. Take your time, Ramsey. You are a journalist, a professional one at that, and you could engage in nightclubs at night. Go to the rural communities in Nasarawa State, in Niger State, in Benue State, and see how our guys are useless for peanuts. Look at the way the rate of prostitution across the state today. It is because of hunger, and these girls are suffering to battle with issue of tuition fees. Why government has weaponized poverty, they have also made it very difficult for even the poor to go to school, where institutions of government is even paid the highest tuition fee in this country. So where do the poor run to? The private institutions have been taken over by their children, and then the government institution also has been hijacked. So illiteracy is one of the worst forms of insecurity, because when you don't have value for life, you could even go and kill for 1,000 naira on the streets. So I'm saying, if you don't have understanding of what life is all about, when you don't wear two touch, somebody can give you 1,000 naira to go and kill. And that is why the politicians who understands the weaknesses of the youth take advantage of them at every election cycle to go, give them peanuts to go and do this evil. And unfortunately, after promising them so many things, you won't be surprised that they will take advantage of them after the election, and even after the election, only them and their children travels abroad. Only them and their children on the payroll. So they abandon this set of youth that they have used during the election. The same set of youth that they are giving their weapons. So what will be their fate? And that is why we have the increased annual rate of kidnapping after every election cycle. These are disgruntled, frustrated youth by the government, by the politicians.
Yes.
And so, in wrapping it up, permit me to run, please. Let me run it up.
Okay, please.
I want to say that the Nigerian youth are the best productive youth anywhere in the world. It is because of the failure of our institutions that we have so much unemployed soldiers parading themselves on the streets that have led to increase kidnapping, increase rituals that we have now called Yahoo and whatever called the Yahoo marks, that people have ventured into so many evil. If government prioritizes the welfare of Nigerians, Nigeria will be better and will be greater again.
Thank you very much.
That is my position this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. That is informative. I want to say a very big thank you. I wish we have enough time to continue, but then subsequently we'll still find time to have you on our programs as we look more into the security situation of the country. Many thanks for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
All right, this is going to be the size of this process. As a matter of fact, the issue of security in the country is not something that you can finish talking about.
It's a very deep-seated challenge that we need to continue to spotlight.
That's exactly what it is. With time, we'll find time to still talk about this issue. So all you have to do is just keep watching global television. We'll quickly go on break. After this break, the second conversation will come on your way as preparation is on for Oseko elections, and heated up is the 2027 election, which preparation is already on the way. But then, what is the perception about our electoral process? Sit back as we bring to you this conversation after this break. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What's your problem? We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has not officially rung the bell for a campaign to start regarding the 2027 general election cycle. However, we're seeing politicians across board engage on different level regarding that very big event that is scheduled for, just less than 2 years from now. They say politicians start early, even though the country and its developments may not be moving at the same pace. However, is it possible that we are paying far more attention to politics and politicking than we should be investing in the process that produces leaders for this country end to end from top to bottom? For instance, even before the 2027 general election, we have a bunch of off-cycle, or if you like, off-grid elections that are already scheduled. For instance, we understand this Saturday, we have some of them across the country, including in Edo States. But then, what has the process been like? What lessons should INEC, the critical stakeholders, including political parties, their candidates, and indeed citizens and the electorate should be learning, and how are we prepared to use this as a sort of launch pad for 2027? So we want to take a look at the electoral process this morning and see how far we've come the last 26 years and how much of more work lies ahead for us as a government and, of course, as a people. I'm joined this morning by Dr. Dr. Damian, who has a very extensive background in development work, cutting across research, elections, and several other issues, including politics. I'd like to say, first of all, a big thank you, Chief, for taking out the time to be here this morning.
Thank you.
You obviously have followed developments in Nigeria over time. Yeah. In 2022, we got the Electoral Act signed into law by the former president, now late Muhammadu Buhari. Would you be kind enough to talk to our viewers about where we are today in terms of our electioneering and the process itself?
Okay, thank you. I'm so happy to be here this morning. Yeah, in terms of election, in fact, the 2020 preparation for 2027 election is far too gone. I would say that 50% of political paperwork has been done. Then on the side of the judiciary, side of the legislature, that's the INEC and the National Assembly, much has not been done, even though we have been seeing a lot of green lights. In the past 2 months or in the past 6 months, there have been consultations on electoral reform. There have been consultation, regional consultation that were held in the 6 geopolitical zones. Then at the beginning of this August, there were also a consultation that was supposed to be held at Transcorp Hilton. I was there in person, but INEC, the National Assembly, didn't come. Later we heard that because of the death of President Muhammadu Buhari, that they scheduled some issues after the recess. Then in terms of the way we are, INEC has actually made, according to the INEC chairman, they have actually made 148 recommendations sent through OAS recommendations, and most of election monitoring organizations. Some of the recommendations they made have been sent to National Assembly. But currently, the information we have from civil society organizations is that 3 critical areas are being considered for reforms. Now, area of early voting, diaspora voting, and then special seats for women. Then on the side of civil society organization, which I'm also a part of that organization, the civil society, Nigerian civil society, which is a coalition of different civil society organizations or NGOs, secretariats at PLAC, you understand, led by YZ, we have come up with what we call a credibility threshold. Credibility threshold is recommendations which we have come up with by assessing how 2023 election was conducted. So this credibility threshold, we look at it and say, okay, this is what we want to happen in 2027 election. This is what we are believing that if this happens, the 2023 election can be said to be credible. So on our own part, we are equally trying to speak with one voice. That one voice in the sense that after the election, different organizations that observe the election will give their reports. So we are looking at it in such a way that we have set a credibility threshold so that this report can be assessed using a particular benchmark. For instance, we know that there is an ongoing consultation among the executive on the replacement of INEC chairman, the person that will replace the INEC chairman. So, as civil society organization, in part of our recommendation has said that looking at the constitution and looking at what is happening in INEC, politicalization of INEC appointments, especially in RECs, appointment of RECs, NEC, and even the chairman. So the civil society came up with a recommendation that says that whoever that will be the INEC chairman, the next INEC chairman, must not have been a party member of any political party in the last 10 years.
The last 10 years.
Yes, the last 10 years. Because before the constitution would say not a party member of political party.
Remember 3 weeks ago.
Thank you. Even in the past 24 hours. But we know that nobody just emerge. Before you emerge, there's a lot of groundwork, do you understand? And such groundwork, someone can now say, okay, I'm resigning my membership today because the person knows that maybe there's something up for him.
Right.
So, but we in the civil society and the development space are pushing for at least 10 years so that we'll be sure that this person is not politically affiliated to any political party or even must not have held any political position in the last 10 years.
Well, that sounds more like a poll. There are 3 issues you highlighted here which are very pivotal to this conversation. You talked about diaspora voting, early voting, and the affirmative issue, which we're going to come to later on.
Okay.
How much of lacuna do we still have in our laws now? I mean, you have talked about the INEC appointments, how that those appointments have become political, starting from the chairman to the Rex and all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
When in 2022, when the Electoral Act came on board, came on stream in 2022, many people, including gentlemen and ladies in your space within the civil society, they say that it was going to be a game changer. A game changer. Has it changed the game, really?
The truth is this. In terms of paperwork, you cannot text the reliability of any legal instrument without taking it to the field. When that Electoral Act was signed, in fact, there were a lot of amendments. There were a lot of improvements.
Right.
But it's only when you take it to the field. In fact, the 2023 election tested the credibility of that Electoral Act. And when it was put to test, the ductility or the ability of that Electoral Act to withstand tension was actually put to test. And we saw that there are still loopholes. If you align this with maybe some of these technological companies that build cars, you notice that in the past, if you listen to US, they will tell you that Toyota is recalling 2,000 vehicles because maybe when it was put to test, we noticed, maybe they noticed that there are some things they needed to touch.
Right.
Now, the 2022 Electoral Act was actually put to test in 2023 elections. And a lot of things were actually not just okay with it. But historically, I would like to tell you that each elections that have passed in Nigeria actually reveal the weakness of previous electoral acts. Yaradua came. After that, he said, yes, there is a need to look at this electoral act. He set up a commission. The commission did their findings and submitted reports.
That's the Waste Commission?
Yes. And 90% of that, 90% of what was recommended in that report were not implemented at that point. Even till today, there are still other things in that report that were not implemented. I'll give you an example. We have off-cycle elections in Nigeria now because we didn't implement his reports. Yes. Because part of the recommendation of that report was that electoral litigations should be concluded before oath of office. Key electoral litigations. And in 2006, we just had only one off-cycle election. That's Anambra State under P2B, right? But now we have more than 10 off-cycle elections. Especially, I'm much concerned of those that were not caused by natural causes like deaths. Because there are most of those off-cycle elections when a legislator dies and elections, they understand. But apart from deaths, most of them were caused by judiciary litigations.
So they were systemic?
They were systemic. Because assuming election litigations were all concluded before oath of office, we will not be having off-cycle elections.
Right.
So if you look at the trends, Goodluck did his own reform. Buhari did his own reform, which gave us the 2022 Electoral Act.
That's right.
Now we are talking about electoral reform. So elections has actually always proved that most electoral acts were even, there will always be a loopholes. If there is an amendment today, and that amendment is accepted by the president today, I will assure you that 2027 election will equally still bring out other loopholes.
It's interesting. I mean, the issue of appointment of INEC chairman and all the other resident electoral commissions, excuse me. We've heard this before. There are people who have even recommended, even on television programs, they say, look, it should be the Chief Justice of Nigeria who gets the latitude, as it were, to appoint the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Others say, well, the CJ is also appointed by the president, so it still becomes a matter of political interest and what have you. We have been around this mountain, in the manner of speaking, for so long. What's the possibility? What are the chances that that power can be removed, if you like, the president can be stripped of that power constitutionally going forward?
Now, I will approach these your questions through two directions. And I'm going to quote Okudibanoli, a professor of political science. I heard him say that Nigerian electoral process is like a scenario whereby a student chooses who set his examination for him, chooses how that examination will be set, and equally chooses who will mark it. Do you think that student will fail the exam?
Well, the answer is obvious, and I think you have it.
Right? Okay. So, if you think that a student that chooses who set his exam, who set the question, and who will equally mark it, the student will not fail his exam. Now, coming to INEC, whether that power can be stripped from the president or not. Now, let's look at it from the reality perspective. In reality, through constitutional reforms, that power can be stripped from the president. In reality.
Right.
But, in reality too, that is not what Nigeria needs.
What does Nigeria need?
Now, what Nigeria needs is a strong institution. A strong institution that can stand on its own without being remoted by any arm of the government. Because if you say, for instance, that the National Assembly should appoint the INEC chairman as it is in South Africa, if the National Assembly is equally controlled by someone who is loyal to the president, apart from this administration, it is only in the first term of President Mohamed Buhari, when Saraki was the president, that we saw a relatively independent National Assembly. Relatively independent National Assembly. So it doesn't still make sense to take it from one person to another. But I'm telling you that if we have a strong institution that can stand up and say, no, I will do the right thing. That is the type of institution the American has. That's the type of institution the UK have. Because if you look at what happened in the United States of America, whereby a president can be summoned, the court can tell the president, no, you cannot do this. You want to deport this person, no, you cannot deport him. And the president has to respect court order. So what Nigeria needs is a strong institution. And there is one thing with a strong institution. A strong institution is like an institution that is in autopilot. With or without the president, it will succeed. But if we don't have a strong institution, even give an AI the INEC chairman, it will still be compromised.
Okay, let's talk about early voting. I mean, in the US and across Europe, for example, early voting is normal, it's taken for granted. It's a very crucial feature of the electoral process. Weeks before the big election day, people are already casting their votes and all of that. I mean, is there a problem with us also integrating this into our electoral process?
Now, why we are talking about early voting is that if you look at what happened during the election, 48 hours during the election, you will notice that a lot of people are disenfranchised because we don't do early voting. Now, a lot of security agencies that work on that election day, most of them do not vote. A lot of civil society organization members that monitor elections, most of them do not vote. A lot of INEC ad hoc staff, most of them do not vote. So when you check the percentage of people who do not vote in an election, maybe because of the role they play in an election, you now notice that more than 17% of Nigerians are actually, they don't vote in an election because of special duties they have.
Right.
So we are canvassing and pushing for early voting in order to give these people the time to vote earlier before they can start their election duties. So that is the essence.
Let's talk about diaspora voting.
Okay.
People have talked about the rigors associated with logistics. I mean, these are things you're going to be doing away from, I mean, off the shores of Nigeria, for example. How humongous is that task of ensuring that Nigerians in the diaspora can begin to vote?
Now, I will approach it. If you look at a foreign policy of any country, foreign policy is actually defined as a domestic policy projected abroad. Whether you are in Nigeria, you are in UK, United States, or wherever you live, whatever that happens here affects you.
Right.
If it doesn't affect you, maybe because you are not living here directly, it affects you because you pay tax. And when you look at most foreign direct investments are actually attracted by Nigerians living abroad. They pay tax. So when you see someone that pays tax and the person is not allowed to vote, because he's not around. And most policies we make affect them. They have to be allowed to vote so that they can vote people that make right policies. For instance, there were a time when you want to, if your visa expires or your passport expires, you have to travel back here
for renewal.
So they have to vote. And to me, it would be a very welcome development if voting, diaspora voting is integrated in the electoral process. We can use our embassies for that.
All right. I think there's a lot we need to talk about, but I want to take a quick break at this point, everyone. Quite interesting conversation it is, especially as it has to do with Nigeria's electoral process. But when we return after this break, we'll look at affirmative action, especially as it has to do with reserved seats for women, and then we'll move away from that and talk about the continuous voter registration, the CVR, which we understand that will start sometime on Monday, 18th of August. All of that and more shortly. Please stay with us. And Dr. Demian, at the turn of this new century, the talk about women participating more effectively in the electoral process and politics has become even louder. Today we're hearing of reserved seats for women. Are those just political rhetorics? I mean, people trying to be politically correct or something?
To be very honest, I am among those who are yet to understand the idea for reserved seats for women. I'm yet to understand it. And because I see it as an utopia, utopia is something that is not realizable. Now, but I equally see it realizable based on the perspective we are looking at this.
Okay.
But it will be realizable if we decide to empower women rather than providing a special seat for women. If we empower women, I believe there will be a time where equality will bring more women, endowments, learned behavior, experience will bring more women in political position. Now, because I've looked at it from several perspectives, and then people looking at INEC as an institution to promote women participation in politics, I don't understand it.
So that's the wrong move.
It's a wrong move. It is not the duty of INEC. The duty of INEC is to conduct elections based on the number of candidates offered to them by the political parties.
Right.
So political parties become an umbrella. So if we are supposed to look at women participation, it will be from the side of political party, not from the side of INEC. Because the question is, has any political party favored women and INEC rejected the name?
Because the person is a woman.
Because she's a woman. It has never happened. There is no political party in Nigeria that has ever favored a candidate that is a woman and INEC rejected the person from participating. So because of it, if you look at the last election, most political parties favored a significant number of women in political position. Most political parties did that. And the question is, we should be asking them, why are they not favoring more women? Not INEC. And then the question is, because I look at this from a very critical point of view. The question is not favoring a woman. The question is, will she win?
So if she will not win, what are the variables we're looking at in that regard?
Now, let's now look at the variables that make women not to win. Now, we have a lot of factors like culture.
Right.
Apart from culture, religion, we have a lot of stereotype, stigmatization of women due to their position. In fact, it came to a point that every woman in politics is seen as if to say the person maybe slept her way to power. People see women like that, but that is not the case. The case is that for us to improve on women participation in politics, number one, we have to look at the role of political parties. Political parties have to do more, not actually INEC. I feel that people campaigning for special seats for women and all lot of things is just a political distraction, because they know what to do. Political parties know what to do. Women constitute 47.8% of voters as far as voting is concerned in this country. In fact, if we are saying that we should give more women space in appointive position, it will be more understandable to me. When we say, okay, the president should appoint 50% of the ministers should be given to, ministerial positions should be given to women.
Right.
I understand it. It is practicable, it is doable.
Because it's appointments.
It's appointments. Solely on the decision of the president. But when you say elective position, it becomes very special.
Right.
Why it's very special now is that I can look back in my village, for instance, and ask myself, how many women are even ready to come and contest if you tell them to come and contest? If you tell them to come and contest, I know a lot of them will not come. How many women are there willing to come and contest? Even when you say, okay, I want to sponsor you, come and contest. How many are willing to come and contest? Most of them will not. And the fact is not all about culture and religion. In fact, the political climate is not friendly to women.
So is the political space rigged against women?
Yes, it's rigged against women. Now, when campaign starts in this country, watch the political rhetorics, propaganda. It only takes a strong person
to stand the heat.
Even the President Bola Tinubu once said, at the heat up of 2023 election, he said that he even find it difficult to visit the social media.
Right.
Yeah, you know why he was saying that? Because of a lot of name callings and a lot of things. So, President Bola Tinubu has been in the political space for years, yet he finds it difficult to stand the heat of propaganda, name calling on the social media. Then what of a woman?
Quite interesting. But there's something else I need to talk to you about. The continuous voters registration exercise, yes, which some people say is good because it helps to, on a continuous basis, bring in more voters into the voting nets and all of that. But we've also seen INEC, for example, complain that they have certain number of cards, always in thousands, sometimes in tens of thousands, that have not been collected by those who came to register and things like that. What are the causes of this sort of development?
No, I've been in the field before, and I think I will do justice to that. One is that if you look at INEC website, they say that continuous voters registration will start on 18th.
Right.
Online registration. 18th is online registration, and 25th, the in-person registration starts.
All right, that's on site.
Yes, in person.
In person, okay.
Do you understand? You have to visit the registration center to do the registration.
So finish up the process.
Yes. Now, but there are challenges. One is that a lot of Nigerians do not have access to network. Most people cannot even do the online registration on their own. So, and I've been looking at, trying to understand how INEC want Nigerians to complete the online registration from 18th to 25th. Maybe there will be an extension, but I find it difficult to understand how millions of Nigerians will be able to do this process, online registration from 18 to 25th.
So you would have thought that the process, I mean, the time should be extended.
Yes. Now, when you come to people not collecting their voters card, I'll tell you the cause. Why most people don't collect their voters card. And politicians are the cause.
How so?
Politicians. Let me give you an example. Once this process starts, politicians do a lot of things to boost their voting power or the voting power in their constituency. Polling units that are under them. Back then in Asosoka, I noticed that politicians bring a lot of buses.
That's in Enugu State?
Yes, in Enugu State. They bring buses, go to University of Nigeria and Asoka, pick up students from the campus, go to their respective polling units and register them for PVCs. Now, after doing that, when it is time to collect those PVC, most of them cannot even afford the transportation to go and collect, go to that place and collect the card. They are just interested in my polling units have 5,000 voters.
So, of what benefits is that still the politicians?
Now, if I know that this is my stronghold, if the central area is my stronghold, and I have to mobilize buses to go to Maraba, go to University of Abuja, go to law school, and bring people to come and register under my stronghold, it means that they are going to vote here.
So you've been able to drag traffic.
Yes, I've been able to drag traffic in this direction because I know this is my political stronghold.
Right.
Now, what happens when I didn't do a follow-up to ensure that those people equally, I transport them back here to equally pick up their cards? So most of them leave their card. But I know that INEC started a process of transferring PVCs. Yes. I think that's the only thing that remedied this situation a bit. But at the end, most people do not go back to collect those PVCs.
All right. It appears before now, every time you have this kind of conversation, analysts like yourself would always put the entire blame in front of INEC, but it appears there's a lot of blame to go around now. Of course, the security agencies as well have their role to play in all these citizens. I mean, that's what we talk about, civic engagement with citizens. We have to teach civic education in schools and things like that. But let's come to your stronghold, to use a word, the civil society space. Every election cycle, people in the civil society arena collect a lot of data. They monitor the election. In the end, they begin to put reports out there and things like that. In some cases, or in most cases, in the middle of elections, we even see press conferences being held and things like that. Do we use this data to benefit the country by way of improving the electoral process in any significant way?
Now, the civil society organizations are doing a lot of work through the Secretariat's plaque. Now, but you know that we can only push and give pressure. Now, for instance, Mandate 4 is an organization I work for. Mandate 4 collected signatures, petitions from Nigerians, wrote letter, disputed letter to all the legislators in this country as of July, urging them that this is what Nigerians want. Now, from the reports, electoral reports, we are the faith, we observe the elections, we produce an independent report, independent analysis, objectively, and through the situation room. The situation room held conferences, invited political actors. In fact, I remember that on the day the credibility threshold was launched, Solomon Landlong, is it Simon Landlong, the former governor of Plateau State?
Yeah, now the senator.
Yes, he's the Senate Committee Chairman of Electoral Reform. We invited him, he was there when that document was launched. We gave him a copy, but the fact is, the situation room or CSOs is just like we can just advocate. That is our job.
So your mandate, as it were, ends at advocacy.
Yes, we can advocate, advise, but election issues in this country and even other countries are left in the hands of INEC and the legislature.
Right.
Do you understand? And I know, but remember, the not too young to law bill that was signed into law was sponsored by YAG Africa, which was a part of the situation room.
Right.
So a lot of things actually has happened. A lot of agreements have been reached. Do you understand? Through such advocacy and consultation. But I can liken it as what we do as a mother who advises his adult child on how to get married. Do you understand? Because most of the times at the end you can not just force the person on what to do. You can just end there.
Quite interesting. But let's talk about things we can do to incentivize voting. Apathy is still a challenge in our voting system in Nigeria. A professor once said that a time there was in the history of the US where you would have to do almost everything socially possible to get people out to vote, including throwing parties to them and food and drinks and all of that. Of course, that was more than 100 years ago. Today is a different ballgame for America. We will not be having the same exact reality as the United States, but in the case of Nigeria, given our peculiarity, what more do we need to do to get people to be, if you like, patriotic enough to vote without any politician on any level coming to influence or induce them?
Now, a lot are happening now. A lot. Yesterday, Mandate 4 launched a project we call GoMate.
Okay.
GoMate means make election rigging difficult. Now, the only way we can encourage people to vote is through electoral reform, to sanitize the system. Because if you can't sanitize the system, in fact, I've been in the faith, and most of the times, if you want to talk to people about electoral reform, Gate or PVC, said they'll ask of what use it is. Some people said last year I voted, waited to protect my vote. At the end, I was hearing different results of a polling unit. I was in my polling unit. They counted the results. So and so person won. When I had it from my neck, it was another person. The truth is that the voices from the grassroots is disheartening. And the only way we can improve voting in this country is through grassroots engagements, engage the people, talk to them, and through electoral reform. In fact, when sanity is restored in the system, I think people will be willing to vote. But from what is happening now, the politics started earlier enough. From the handwriting on the wall, a lot of Nigerians may not be coming out to vote.
Why would that? I mean, 27 is still a bit far flung. Why would they come out to vote?
Now, they will not come out to vote because a lot of things are happening. Nigerians are making a demand. Those demands are not being met. We are talking about non-politicalization of INEC.
Right.
These demands are not being met. Nigerians are talking about electronic transmission of results. These demands are not being met. Electoral reforms that are taking place, or the bills that are being considered in this country on electoral reforms, they are important, but these things are infinitesimal to the core issues that Nigerians are demanding for.
Are we using technology enough to drive our electoral process? Because we're still having this back and forth about beavers and there was a server, no, there was no server, none of that. What are your thoughts in this regard?
My thoughts in this regard is till today, open the INEC portal. Most polling unit results are still not uploaded.
Past elections?
Yes. You can check on your phone. Most polling unit results are still not uploaded. They are yet not complete. So how do we arrive at the results? A lot of things we have tested a lot of things and they work. Why is it not working with INEC? Why is it technical glitches? How? Why is it that our electoral laws are ambiguous and ordinary Nigerian cannot interpret it? Even somebody that studied linguistics do not even understand what it means 36 states plus FCT.
Okay, so that in itself is still a bit of
ambiguity. Ambiguity always provide an avenue for anyhow judicial interpretation. It provides avenues to that.
So again, this is one of the areas I want to assume require urgent reforms now, aren't they?
Yes. These areas, we need to reform them. Our laws have to be clear. Our laws have to be applied. As far as I'm concerned, INEC is becoming a toothless bulldog. And becoming a toothless bulldog in the sense that the institution is very weak. There is a timeline for campaigns. Right now we are campaigning.
Even before INEC officially says
yes, right now we are campaigning. Right now politicians are making statements, making endorsements. We are campaigning.
Interesting. Dr. Tadin, I'd like to say a big thank you to you because this conversation is quite hydra-headed and it's one that will continue to, we'll have to continue to interrogate as we make progress, especially in light of the 2027 general election. Again, we appreciate you for these very valuable insights that you've come to share with us today. At this point, we're taking a quick break. Everyone, when we return, Ramsey and I will end today's program with you. Please do stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, these conversations really never end. That's why Global Morning comes your way every other day, 7 days a week, even though we have the abridged versions for Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining us again today, as always. And just to remind you that the views of all of our guests are their opinions, and the newspaper headlines that we bring to you on the program as published by their respective publishers. I am Uyi Agmofwegwe. We appreciate you for your time.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning today. Well, remember that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Just keep tab on all our programs and we'll keep you informed, educated and entertained. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.